and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Our special guest today is election strategist and JDU Vice President Prashant Kishor, who's been very vocal about his opposition to the Citizenship Amendment Act as well as a nationwide NRC or National Register for Citizens. Prashant Kishor, of course, was the man credited with Mr. Modi's highly successful campaign in 2014, and since then he has handled other party campaigns like that of the Congress in Uttar Pradesh, but Mamata Banerjee now in Bengal, the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, Jagan Reddy in Andhra Pradesh, and continues though in his position as a senior leader of the Janata Dal United, which is an ally of the BJP in Bihar. Prashant Kishor, thanks very much for joining us on NDTV. We're talking to you on a day here in Delhi when there are a number of protests that were being planned in parts of the country today against the Citizenship Amendment Act. And what has happened is that authorities have imposed Section 144, that's prohibitory orders, in large areas. They have detained a number of protesters. People like Yogendra Yadav and Ramchandra Guha have been detained by police. So they're not allowing these protests to take place. What are your first comments on what's going on?
See, whenever government takes a measure with which large section of society is not in agreement, we as a democracy, we have right to protest and we have right to raise our voice. So, I do not see any problem in that so long it remains non-violent. Now, on this issue of violence, we should be fair for the both side. If we are saying that protesters do not have right to do violent protest against the government, which is the right thing to say, then police or the state cannot also use the violent measures, as some of what you have just mentioned.
High-handed measures.
High-handedness, or you cannot be violent. So, if protesters in Jamia did the mistake, or some of them might have been indulged in violence, and they should be taken to task, law should take its course vis-a-vis their action. But then how do we justify the violence of the police which entered the campus of the university apparently without any permission? So, my point is, if you are supporter or if you are votary of non-violent protest, it should apply both to the citizen and the state. It cannot be only for the citizen and not for and not applicable to the state.
You know, you have described the combination of the citizenship bill and the NRC as a lethal combination in the hands of the government to systematically discriminate and go after people. Now, many have seen this argument in the framework of a religious one, as a Hindu-Muslim argument. But there are leaders like Mamata Banerjee, you yourself, who have framed it differently, who are seeing this as an argument of the poor, that it's going to be the poor which will be the most affected by a nationwide NRC. Elaborate on that. Tell us the dangers that you see, in that.
The law, I am not getting into the intent behind it. The intent might be that a certain section of society based on religion gets in or gets out. But in reality, when you operationalize such law, it is the poor who will suffer most, because we have seen whether it was demonetization that was meant to go after people who have the black money. Now, those who are rich would have the black money, but ultimately who paid the price? The poor who did not have money had to queue up. So, when it comes to producing documentary evidence of in support of your citizenship, you need to bring all those documents which many of the poor people or the households would not have, would find it difficult to get, and assume that even if they have the document, it would require huge logistical nightmare. It would need on the part of those citizens to move to the authorities' offices, go there with the document, prove it that they belong to the citizens as per the requirement of the law. That would result in loss of wages, harassment, bribery.
So, the poor end up suffering the most.
Poor end up suffering in this country. Say for example, 20 crore people are landless. So, how are they going to prove their citizenship here? Obviously, when you are asking for an NRC, it means Aadhaar plus or a voter ID plus, because if it would have been only the Aadhaar and NRC and voter card, then you could have simply said that those who have the Aadhaar and NRC will be treated as citizen. You are not saying that. That means we need to understand as a citizen that we have to produce document in support of citizenship beyond Aadhaar, beyond your voter ID card. Now those documents either many people would not have, or they would have to make a significant effort to procure those documents to be convincing, to convince the government authorities that yes, they are the citizens. Why are we doing this?
Why do you think we're doing this?
So I'm saying, assume that there is an argument that how can country allow illegal immigrants to live here. I agree with it. Suppose there are 3% people who are living here without the document, or they are illegal here, illegal residents. Government must find an intelligent way to identify those 3% people and throw them out. There is no problem.
And not make
irrespective of which caste, where they are coming from.
Not make the rest of the 97%
rather than
suffer.
making 100% people suffer. So if we do this NRC today, next many years, whole country will be just queuing up to prove what is already proved, that I am a citizen here. Why do I need to be proving it with set of documents? I just don't understand it.
You were very outspoken also and openly anguished by the passage of the Citizenship Amendment Act in Parliament. You remember your own tweets, I have them here. You said you were disappointed that your own party supported the citizenship bill in Parliament, saying it was incongruous with the party's constitution that carries the word secular 3 times on its very front page and the leadership that is supposedly guided by Gandhian ideals. Why do you think Nitish Kumar went along with this? You met him also.
Yes.
Why did he go along with this?
See, why did he go? Only he can explain. But my position on this has been out
but he
in
must have
public
told
domain.
You why.
Yes, I spoke to him and he has said that he will come out and explain. In my conversation with him also, my real problem is that Citizenship Amendment Bill has come in the backdrop of government's announcement that there will be a nationwide NRC. If there is no NRC per se, then Citizenship Amendment Bill could be debated, could be considered. There is no harm in it. It could be against the spirit of constitution of using religion as a basis. So there is an argument, so one can be in favor, one can be in opposition.
You're saying it's the combination with the NRC.
But the combination with NRC becomes completely unacceptable, because once you combine it with NRC, it becomes discriminatory, not only on the basis of religion, but also basis of class. You are making all those who are poor, irrespective of whichever caste or religion they belong to go through unimaginable suffering in order to prove something which they need not.
But then why did your party leader vote for this bill?
No, I have opposed to it. Why party has voted? Party has taken a stance on that particular day or on a particular moment based on certain facts and information which was available to them. I think Nitish Kumar ji will explain this, why they have supported it. But my purpose of raising my voice was to emphasize that all in the party are not necessarily in support of this. Also to put more.
Are there others in the
also
JDU?
to make sure that even if Citizenship Amendment Bill remains, at least we are opposed to NRC. And as you have seen, many chief ministers like Naveen Patnaik ji, whose party has supported C.A.A. in Parliament, he has already announced that we are not going to do NRC.
I'm going to come to that in just a moment. But did you offer to resign when you met Nitish Kumar?
So
there were reports that you did.
It's not proper for me to discuss what was discussed privately, but it is very clear that we are not in support of NRC in Bihar or a nationwide NRC.
Is that what Nitish Kumar has told you?
I think his party has always said that there is no need for NRC in Bihar. He has assured me that there is no reason for him to or the party to change that stance, and I have full faith that there will be no NRC in Bihar.
But
come what?
But Nitish Kumar hasn't said anything publicly on it recently, okay? And in fact, posters have come up in Patna saying that he's missing, he's not saying anything on the citizenship bill, he's not saying anything on NRC. I mean, I'm just...
Someone is trying to play mischief.
But why doesn't he come out and speak?
He is out on this Jal Jeevan Haryali Yatra. He has told me that once that is completed on, I believe it is finishing on 19th of January, after that he will be speaking to media on this particular subject, elaborating why NRC should not be and would not be done in Bihar. Also probably when journalists will ask him, he will certainly explain why party decided to support C.A.A. in Parliament.
How do you all deal with the contradictions though in the party? Because you've spoken out, Pawan Verma is another leader of the JDU who's very vocal and one of the articulate faces of the party. And you are suggesting that there are others also who are uncomfortable with the stand that Nitish Kumar has taken.
You should credit Nitish Kumar for this at least.
That
within the party, it's not. On a serious note, Nitish Kumar we have that much of space. I can tell you with fair degree of conviction that many parties who have supported this bill, there will be individuals who are not necessarily supporting this idea. But at least in JDU we can speak out. In many other parties, people will not speak.
But
Congress, for that matter,
hasn't taken a stand.
Hasn't taken a stance on NRC's clear stance.
You mean the central leadership? Central leadership.
I haven't heard anything. I read the letter which Congress President has written on Citizenship Amendment Bill, calling it against the Constitution spirit, both in letter and spirit. And but I haven't heard anything on NRC. I just read a tweet where Rahul Gandhi has mentioned the word NRC, but there is no clear stance that we as citizens have heard from Congress leadership right at the top that they are opposed to NRC. Another point on C.A.A, some of the chief ministers of Congress have come out and said we are not going to implement this. Congress has more than 5 chief ministers in the country. They should come out. If the Congress president is telling that this is against the Constitution, we do not believe in it, we are opposed to it, at least the chief minister should say we are not going to implement in our state. Mamta Di has said it. Mr.
Baghel has said it.
In Kerala has said. Mr. Amrinder Singh in Punjab has said it.
So has the Chhattisgarh chief minister.
Yes, but say for example,
you're saying all of them need to come out.
Mr. Ashok Gehlot has not said it. Why? Congress chief ministers should come out and say that we are not letting this happen in our state. What is preventing them from saying this?
But before I come to the
the point I'm saying is that contradictions
are not
only in JDU.
They're everywhere. No, but one other theory that's doing the rounds is that Nitish Kumar is doing this deliberately, that there is an attempt by him to play all sides. So on one hand, he will support the citizenship bill, but on the other hand, he doesn't want to upset the Muslims who voted for him in Bihar, because that's a sizable chunk of the vote base and you pointed that out as well in public, that look, there was a certain voter that put you into power in 2015, and therefore he's saying something else on NRC. Now, and therefore there's a good cop, bad cop going on. You're deliberately being told to speak out on this while he supports it. Any truth to that?
I'm too much of a rebel in my mind to be playing good cop and bad cop. If I don't believe in it, I will say it. If I believe in it, I will stand for that. It's not a question of good cop and bad cop. It's a question of what is right. I think this two-piece C.A.A. and NRC in combination is not consistent with what the founding father of this country would have seen and would have put in the Constitution. It is discriminatory, both not only on the basis of religion but also on the basis of class, and hence all right-minded Indians should oppose this bill, because this is not in the interest of the country.
Now let's get back to the bigger point.
It's not about the vote.
Yeah. Now the bigger point is, as you said earlier, that now more and more chief ministers, even those who've supported the citizenship bill in parliament, are coming out and saying, hum NRC nahi karenge. We are not going to have this in our state, including now Naveen Patnaik. How significant is that? And given that, as state by state you see this unfolding, I think one newspaper today rightly pointed out that if you count just these, I think there are 11 states
60.
now, it's about 42% of the population of the country.
Non-BJP chief ministers, they are 16,
yeah,
and that account for 65% of Indian population.
So therefore, do you think that a nationwide NRC, which Amit Shah has been saying repeatedly that he will do, is possible? Do you think it can happen?
I have no doubt in my mind that it is not possible, no matter who is saying what. See, first of all, BJP trying to implement these laws or the NRC across India, they are well within their democratic right. I say so because they have put it in their manifesto. This was part of their agenda. People have voted for it, and they have voted in favor of BJP, and hence they are within their democratic right to try to implement it. But with this fact, the other fact is the 60% of people in India have not voted for BJP, and that 60% is represented in the combined opposition, which is one aspect of that is 16 non-BJP chief ministers of India, who are ruling states that account for 65% of the population of the country. They have not fought on that agenda, so they cannot support this idea. They cannot. And this whole debate that whether it is a state subject or a central subject is completely uninformed.
Why?
It's because it's not a legal issue per se. Yes, it is a central subject. Everyone understands that citizenship falls within the right of the central government. But if you are saying that we will do NRC, someone need to explain to me logistically how central government can execute NRC in any state without the cooperation of the state government machinery. We have seen the exercise in NRC exercise in Assam. It took 3 years and the entire state machinery to be working day and night to be able to complete what has been a flawed NRC, which even BJP has called flawed. Even with that much investment, resources deployed from the state, we could not carry out a good NRC. On what basis we are saying that center has the means to do it across India in all other states, including in the states where chief ministers or the state resources are not going to be available to them?
But you know,
now the second point people are making is that if states do not cooperate, center can take action. What action center can take? I want to make this point very clear. What action center can take? You can take the state government to the court, please do it, or you can use 356 to expel the government. Are we to say that center is going to expel 10 state governments or 15 states government who are democratically elected in their respective states? For an argument's sake, I go one step more further and say, okay, you expel a government also. That center is so determined that they will use 356 and will expel 10 governments, state governments who are opposed to NRC. Then within 6 months again there will be election. What happens if the same party wins and comes back?
Will you keep dismissing governments?
Are we to say that central government will keep on dismissing a state government till they fall in line? Just not, and that's why I am saying it is not possible, no matter who is telling, unless and until they take the state governments on board, all political parties come on board to support this idea. It is not possible in logistically and otherwise.
You have worked so closely with the BJP campaign with Mr. Modi and Amit Shah. Now, why do you think that they are so determined to push ahead with this? Is it because it's part of a larger Hindutva project? Do you see it from that prism? Is it an ideological sort of a campaign? See, now that they've come with a bigger majority in this term.
Couple points. See, when I worked with them in 2014, this was not the part of the agenda.
No, it wasn't.
And
it's happened now.
In 2014 campaign, whoever has followed it and wants to follow it, they can go back also. Everything is in public domain. None of these issues were at the forefront. Now, why they are doing it today, I cannot. My guess could be as good as yours. But having said so, I again repeat, they are not being. They are not trying to hide this. They have put it in their manifesto. And people of this country have voted for them.
Do you see it as a part of a larger RSS sort of game plan for a Hindu Rashtra or
no?
Or
this
what?
whole
What
RSS,
is the motivation?
I am not the supporter of this whole RSS conspiracy theory that everything is done by the ruling class because there is a hidden force behind the scene who is controlling and driving the agenda. I believe in democracy. I think those who are elected, they are elected on an agenda that has been put to the people. People have applied their wisdom. They have voted for or against, and we should just stick to it rather than just getting into a speculation that who is driving the agenda, what is the intent, who is the hidden force. It's a futile exercise to do.
You are, of course, a very unique personality in Indian politics because here you are in the JDU, which is an ally of the BJP in Bihar, but you are also still an election strategist and a largely successful one. You're managing Mamata Banerjee's campaign. You're now looking at the AAP campaign in Delhi. As I said, Jagan Reddy also right at the beginning. So how How do you deal with all these contradictions in your political life, firstly?
So there's no contradiction in my head, because see, what you describe as the professional work is something what I was doing previously. And IPAC, which has got more than 2,000 people working on that platform, continues to work with parties which they think they can be of help, or whoever they choose to work with. My involvement with IPAC, and I have been saying this on obscene number of times, that I do not own IPAC. IPAC is not my company. I am not an employer or employee or shareholder or owner of IPAC. IPAC is owned by people who choose to work with IPAC. When they choose to do a campaign, they seek my support wherever they feel it is needed. So take for example TMC Mamata Di's campaign in Bengal. I do not spend 30 days time in Bengal. IPAC spends 30 days time, they deploy the resources.
But you are sort of the overall guiding
Yes,
force.
so if they think that there are issues on which I need to go there and advise them, I do that part. I am not denying that. But this is something which I have started, and I do not want, and I would love to see it getting bigger, better and much more effective. So why should I not let it grow?
So tell me, how is the Bengal campaign looking? There's again a school of thought that this entire exercise of NRC and so on is being done with an eye on Bengal, which is like the next big sort of goal that the BJP has set itself, you know. Do you see this playing out in a big way in Bengal, and is it going to be a tough fight for Mamata?
See, any election is a tough election. No election should be taken easily. This whole idea that a piece of legislation could be done to win a state election, I doubt that. How much impact it will have. You can try, but end of the day, people of Bengal will vote to elect their chief minister, who they think is going to deliver.
But in a way, it was an issue in the recently done by-polls, in a reverse way, in that it worked for the Trinamool.
Whatever little I gathered in the by-elections, if NRC was an issue, the results are not showing that it is giving any benefit to BJP.
Not in the BJP's favor. That's what I meant. But it
because
can be an issue.
I can't emphasize this enough. People are not realizing, if you do any exercise like NRC, it is the poor who are going to suffer. So take for example a by-election in Kaliaganj, which is in North Bengal, apparently at the forefront of this whole illegal immigrant issue. In Lok Sabha, BJP was ahead in that particular constituency with 57,000 votes. This is the constituency which has been traditionally a Congress seat. Trinamool has never won this seat in last 25 years, and this time in by-election Trinamool has won with more than 2,000 votes. Why do you think this shifting of 60,000 votes has happened? It's because those who are poor, whether they are Hindu or they are Muslim, they realize that if an exercise like NRC is carried out, many of them would suffer, because many of them might not be able to produce all the documents that is needed to satisfy the requirement of the government.
But you know, as an election sort of strategist, if you had to give the opposition in India today a piece of advice on how to take on the might of the BJP, what would that be? And are there any lessons you think that they can learn from the way they played things out in Maharashtra, for example? I mean, what is it ultimately that it would take in short to defeat the BJP?
I don't have any advice to, I'm too small a person to advise anyone, but in a generic term, if you are opposed to the idea of BJP, you have to challenge it. Because as they say, any idea that goes unchallenged will become reality sooner or later. So you cannot hide behind some argument that I'm opposed to the idea, but I'm not opposing it. You can't have both way. So if you are opposed to the idea, you have to stand up for that.
Where does Nitish Kumar stand? Because one is very confused about where he stands.
Nitish Kumar has limited himself to Bihar, and he thinks his politics should be driven by the idea of we do whatever is in the interest of Bihar.
What does that mean? When
it means
when a sizable chunk of Muslims voted for the JDU, and then you turn around and go into alliance with the BJP, what do you tell the people who voted for you?
Yes, because that time he has said that I am doing it because I think with the earlier partner, which was RJD, he was feeling that he was not able to deliver as far as the governance in Bihar is concerned in the manner in which he would have liked.
Did you agree with that?
To some extent, yes.
But not entirely.
See, running government with party like RJD has got its own challenges. So, I agree with that part. And I am convinced with the idea that if he feels that with a party A is better ally, which allows him to implement the agenda what he wants to implement in Bihar, I am very comfortable with that. But having an administrative arrangement or a political arrangement to run a government is not same as having the arrangement to legislate, which can provide the foundation for discrimination and prosecution of certain caste or religion or class for times to come. These are two very different things. I have no problem if you find an ally and you want to form a government and you want to provide a government for a certain section of society. There is no problem on that. That is for the people to judge. If he has made a mistake, people will vote or will vote against him. But even if it is politically beneficial to you, still morally, ethically, it is not correct to side and support an idea that is fundamentally opposed to what are the basic or the fundamental tenets of the constitution and has been laid out by the founding fathers of this country.
You stand by that criticism of Nitish and your leadership?
I stand by whatever I have said in the public domain, both on the Citizenship Amendment Bill, and I repeat that Nitish Kumar ji has assured me that so long he is there is no question of NRC in Bihar, and I have no reason to believe that he is not going to stand by that commitment. If he does, then we will take a call at that stage.
Prashant Kishor, thanks very much for joining us on NDTV. Thanks very much.